And we should currently be up and running live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the live stream right now. If you're tuning in for this, I'll be keeping an eye on the chat, but we're here right now. UFC Jacksonville, 3 events in 8 days right now. So pretty cool to be doing this. There's $100,000 to first. A lot of people were asking me for a breakdown video. I spent a couple of days and really the last day and a half watching some sort of film, but I'll be honest with you, like many people, 75% of these people I did not hear of until this event, but getting a little bit caught up to speed with it, having right now all of the projections in, the rankings in, got them in yesterday, so feel pretty good about the slate. I have some contests reserved, obviously, whenever there's 6K to first, which we haven't been getting all that often. A couple of times we're getting it with these iRacings, but we actually have something to watch and be excited about. And if you don't know, you can check out Buff Streams, because Buff Streams has all of these events. You don't have to pay for a single dollar of them. But what's going on, Luke? I see you're in the chat right now. So right now I have the dashboard on here. I'll show you my rankings. I'm not going to show the projections because those are what I currently have over on Patreon, rankings, projections, and these data sheets. So the projections are going to be Patreon specific. So if you want to be able to access them, you can down below. If you do, I'll be doing them throughout the rest of the quarantine. What's going on? I see people coming in. Joshua, Doug, yeah. So people reached out to me. Figured I'd do a little bit of a live stream, 10 to 12 minutes. Before we get into it, please hit the subscribe button. I'm putting out a ton of NFL content, this type of content, esports as well. And a lot of people are starting to like all of that, whether it's NFL, getting caught up to speed with that, or some of these esports and quarantine sports that we have. So appreciate you all being here. Hitting that subscribe button helps me out a ton. Bottom right hand corner and the notification bell. Hit those things. What's going on, Matthew? I see you in here. And if you're going to be playing tonight, check out Monkey Knife Fight. Check out Super Draft. Both of those sites. There are promotions down below. I benefit from those, full disclosure. But if you're going to be playing tonight, you might as well get some free money. So Super Draft's going to give you $10 free upon deposit with that promo code SAL in the description. Monkey Knife Fight will give you $5. You don't even have to sign up. You don't have to put any money in. They'll just give you $5 just for playing using that promo code. And if you want to put money in, they'll give you 100% up to $50. If you just want to get $5 for free, or you figure you're going to put $28 in tonight, if you're going to put $20 in tonight to a site, put it into Monkey Knife Fight. They will give you $25 for free to play with. I'm just trying to help you out with the free money. I get a benefit from that, but it's also obviously a benefit to all of you. What's going on, Devin? Devin says everything went good on Saturday. That is very good. So I'm just going to go through my rankings, let you know where I'm at. Currently, right now, obviously, there was a fight in Discord. We were having some fun. There's a free Discord down below for NFL stuff if you're interested. The DFS one's through Patreon. But we were talking about Vetri, very similar to my last name. The fight is going to be off, apparently, is the latest update that I actually saw. So you can see some of the stats on the screen right now. Obviously, this is not going to tell the whole story. The stats are good, but a lot of them are, it's so difficult in the UFC because it's either small sample sizes of somebody that literally has like 8 fights compared to other people on the slate that have 50 fights, and how do you kind of counteract those? Well, that's where a projection comes in. And then also it's a lot of just film study. These people, they might only fight once a year, so you're judging somebody who's jumping weight classes, and it's completely different. Obviously, their motivation goes a little bit behind the type of class of a fighter they are overall, their caliber, but looking at stats is good. I am somebody who's very much focused on data, but also film study is huge in any sport. It adds context to the numbers that you're seeing. If you just go straight off of data, you're going to be wrong. It doesn't tell the entire story, but it's good to have these so you can see the color grid right here. Things that you want to look at are just strikers that are very good. So the green numbers behind me, really good strikers in terms of how often they're going to land. You have Chase Sherman versus Villanueva today. It's the best striker in the entire slate. So you want to look at strikers and then see if the opponent is very weak in that area. If they're average in that area, look, it's just a good striker that you're looking at. It can go either way. But if it's a good striker versus a really bad just strike defender here, average takedown defender or just striking defender, you're probably going to be in a pretty good situation, but the Vegas odds will usually indicate that. So I'll go over to the rankings, and you can see just in terms of just each position, which player is going to stand out or each specific stat. Chase Sherman is going to stand out in terms of strikes per minute as the top player on the slate by a very wide margin. You're going to have Brian Keller, who's a pretty big underdog today, plus 155 the last time I looked. You can check bestfightodds.com for the most updated odds, but plus 155 against Azure today. Last time that I looked, it's going to come in at the second best strikes per minute at 4.87. The matchup against Azure on the opposite side of that is going to at least take on some pretty good striking defense. 56% striking defense is above average on the slate. You also want to look at just strikes per minute landed. Are they just throwing a ton of punches? You want to look at the accuracy a little bit that goes into that. So we were talked about Chase Sherman, 5.81 strikes per minute landed. 43% accuracy is right around average on the slate. So it's just a ton of punches that are getting off there, not so much landing a ton of them. So when you look at striking accuracy, you're going to start to look at people like Ray Borg. Carl Roberson is going to come in. Those two players with the top striking accuracy, 52%. Now, that's an accuracy. It's a percentage. So there might just be an overall bigger sample size of how often they're actually punching, or a smaller sample size. So if they only hit 1 out of 2, it's 50%. It's going to look good. But these fighters have a good amount of fights. Ray Borg, 13-4, 17 fights under the belt, 11 fights for Carl Roberson. So pretty good accuracy numbers there overall. When you go up a little bit higher, Hunter Azure is going to have good accuracy, 50%. Omar Morales, 49%. Trying to look at some of the bad defenders in terms of striking. On this slate right here, we don't have data for a couple of the fighters. At least it wasn't provided through a UFC stats where a lot of people are going to be looking. Gabriel Benitez actually has the best striking defense, 71% on the entire slate. I do like Morales today, especially with Vettori off the slate. I think Morales is going to be a common pivot for a lot of people. Morales is very close for me on this specific slate. You'll see in some of the rankings that are going to be on the next sheet, but Morales is very close to Ricky Simon for me today. I think Morales has a little bit of an easier matchup, but when you factor in ownership for GPPs, it gets a little bit closer in that regard. But Benitez against Morales is a good striking defender. Vettori, it's not going to matter anymore in this slate, but Morales also a good striking defender. So that's just a little bit of that. The average takedowns. So if you're new to MMA or UFC, what you're looking for is quick finishes, which probably not going to be much on this card, to be honest with you. And then what you want to look for after that is just wrestlers, grapplers, right? Jiu-jitsu, things like that. You're going to get a lot of points for takedowns, submissions, depending on the site that you're playing on. So look for quick finishes first. The Vegas odds can usually point you in that direction. Also, if you watch a lot of film, it can. Maybe not a lot on this specific slate compared to what we were watching over the weekend, but I do think there's some upside here. Roberson fight canceled, Sal. Yeah, Vettori and Roberson was canceled. Yeah, I was just looking at specific, just striking defense numbers overall on the slate. But yeah, Vettori is canceled. We touched on that at the top. My long-lost brother, if you will. People making fun of the Discord, similar last names. What's going on, Jeffrey? So yeah, if you're watching on the replay, just talking to some of the people in the live chat. If you want to be aware of when these live chats actually happen, if you hit the notification bell, it will let you know. So I'm going to get into this is my projection sheet that's on Patreon, but I have the projections actually blacked out. If you do want to get them, you can go over, linked right down below to Patreon. And if you're joining in new right now or still watching, go check out Super Draft, go check out Monkey Knife Fight. If you're going to put $20 into a site tonight, you're going to deposit. Put it into Monkey Knife Fight if it's your first time, or make a new account and go over there. The promo code Vetri, if you put $20 in, they will give you $25 for free to play with. So you're actually playing with $45 tonight. If you want to get even more down, or you already have a Monkey Knife Fight account, Super Draft will do the exact same thing, give you $10 if you sign up promo code SAL. So what I have right in here is cash and GPP rankings, depending on what you're playing. Like Eubanks, I don't really want to be playing in GPPs. Biggest favorite on the slate, probably going to get you a win, so that's why it looks a little bit better in cash. GPP, I have it. So in cash, I have it as an A, one of only 2 A's on the slate for me. In cash, it's Sarah Eubanks and then Anthony Smith. So the main event, the headliner. But then Eubanks in GPPs, just women's fights in general, they're not going to be that appealing. Probably not going to get a quick finish at all. It might just go the distance and be very low scoring. You might get like 70, 75, 80 points, probably closer to 80 in a victory. So it's a B- for me. I do think it's a fine cash play. Anthony Smith is a lock. Anthony Smith's probably going to be the highest owned player on the slate, and I wouldn't get away from it. Like Anthony Smith should probably be more expensive, should be the highest priced player, whether it's cash or whether it's GPPs, it's an A for me. Not going to put it at an A+ because the ownership, if anything, it might be an A- or a B+ at this point, but it's borderline a lock. Like if you're playing 150 lineups, I don't think I'd lock it, although I'm not totally against it. I play pretty aggressive. If you're playing 3 lineups, I would just lock Anthony Smith and move on with your next selection there. So Anthony Smith looks really good. Marvin Vettori is off the slate. Marvin Vettori I have him double Fs right now, but was my probably second favorite play on the entire slate, maybe third. It was very, very close for me between Vettori and Morales. So now Morales is going to step into that spot for me. Morales and now Simon are very close. It's like my second and third favorite options on the slate, so I'll have a good amount of each of them. OSP, I'm not that interested in. I actually like Rothwell on the opposite side of this one. So OSP right now in cash is a C, in GPPs is a C, but his opponent, Ben Rothwell, is going to be a C+ in GPPs. If anything, maybe even a B- at this point since there's one less fight on the card. So I actually like Rothwell over OSP. On that side, gives you an underdog, probably gets you a little bit different. Philip Linz is okay. I think it's a better GPP play. Chase Sherman, Drew Dauber. I'd rather go to Sherman in that mid to lower 8K range. I think Sherman stands out the most. I have no idea what to make of the Michael Johnson and Moses fight. I would lean Moses if anything, but I really have no idea. If anybody watching right now live, I don't know how many people are watching. Somebody let me know. But I have no idea what to make of it. Michael Johnson, if this was years ago, probably would take him. One of the only few people that I actually knew on this slate. Anthony Smith I knew. Glover Teixeira I knew Alexander Henderson, Michael Johnson. It was like probably 25 to 30% of the slate just before it actually came out. Vettori, only because I've seen the name before. But yeah, Michael Johnson, Moses, I don't really have a lean there. I would lean Moses if anything, but they're both going to be like C's for me. I have C for Michael Moses, Thiago Moses in GPPs. I have Michael Johnson as a C-, both as C's in cash. No real strong stance there. Ike I have as a decent GPP option. I'm such a degen. I need to bet on something. Best value. Yeah, what's going on? Best value overall for me. Yeah, I have value in projections over on PATRON. I would say that just the best overall play that you can feel really confident about is Anthony Smith. If you're looking at underdogs today, well, Glover Teixeira is a live underdog. It's definitely true. And in a 5-round fight, it's okay. But the underdogs that I like the most today, probably Ben Rothwell, number 1, and then Ike Villanueva, number 2. Probably in that order is the 2 underdogs that I like. I think Ray Borg is definitely in play. Those are probably the ones that I like the most at this point. Ike for GPP upside. Yeah, I think Ike is definitely in there for GPP upside. Like I like on the opposite side of this, Chase Sherman. But in that like $8,500 and above range, Morales and Simon I'm going to get to before Sherman because I just like Ike a lot more on the opposite side. Like I have more faith, I would say, in Ike Villanueva pulling off an upset today than I would in Gabriel Betances, than I would in really any of those other players down there. So I would take Ike. That's where I would go down there if you're not taking Ben Rothwell. Out of all the underdogs, Rothwell would be the one that I would take the most. If I was putting it into a parlay, it would be Rothwell. If I was putting it into a GPP lineup, it would be Rothwell. Then after that, Ike. You can go to both of them. It's not against the law that two underdogs win on an 11-card fight, now down to 11. You like Benenis? No, I don't. I'm not going to like Gabriel Benenis. I'd rather go to Rothwell there. I'm just not going to get there. Not the worst play in the entire slate, but right now I have it graded as the 4th worst play in the slate, tied for the 4th worst play out of 22 fighters, so probably not going to get there. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. That's sort of a quick little overview. I appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. 50 people watching right now. Hey, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please do. If you like the NFL, if you like just DFS in general, I got it all covered for you over here. Appreciate you all being here. So yeah, hopefully this information helps you out. If you want the exact projections for this fight, for the weekend's fights as well, bunch of esports stuff going on a daily basis, golf, all that stuff, that's over on Patreon. You can support me there down below. Take advantage of those affiliate links down below, Monkey Knife Fight. That's the logo. That's the little promo you see right there. But if you're going to play anyways tonight, you might as well get some free money deposit bonus. It helps me, but it also helps you, of course. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to, Linz. Linz is fine. Philip Linz is fine for me today. More of a GPP play. Probably not going to get there in a cash lineup. If you're playing cash, I'd probably go more so towards Sherman, Drew Dauber even. But if you're going to be playing GPPs, I think Linz actually becomes even a better play than Sherman and Dauber just because there's likely less ownership there because Linz is sandwiched in between Ricky Simon, who I think picks up ownership, Morales, who I think picks up a lot of ownership now with no Vettori. And I think a lot of more people will go towards names they know, maybe like an Alexander Hernandez, probably a Michael Johnson. So I think that Linz is going to get a little bit lost for GPPs. So without further ado, I'll just quickly run through my list. I'll sort it here in terms of GPP rankings. So my GPP rankings, these are always on Patreon. The projections are right there. I have them blacked out. Anthony Smith is my only A. My only 2 Bs are Ricky Simon and Philip Linz. My B minuses are Eubanks, Sherman, and Dauber. Alexander Hernandez is also a B minus, and so is Glover Teixeira. And then for B pluses, Azure and Morales. So Morales, Azure, they're 2 players that I like. We didn't really touch much on Azure, one of the bigger favorites on the slate. The best thing that Azure does is somewhat average for Keller, and the best thing that Keller does is yours just going to be able to stop pretty much in terms of striking. And then a bunch of C's after that. The only F's that I have in the slate are the 2 fights that are not happening tonight, and then D pluses and D's are down there. So Sarah Morris is probably very close to an F. It probably should be. I'm never going to get there, but in GPPs it's going to have no ownership, so it at least provides some value in that regard. But if you're playing any formats, it would be probably the last fighter I would end up getting to. So that's where I'm at right now. What's the difference between GPP and cash? Yeah, so for MMA, it's really not much, to be honest with you. But in general, GPPs are tournaments, guaranteed prize pools. Cash games are where I consider it where 50% of the field wins. So 50-50s, 50-50s and head-to-heads. It's just you're taking on less risk. So more of the field gets paid out. You don't have to be as risky per se. So if you're playing cash games in MMA, they're very similar because you still need to get wins, but you would just lean more towards the Vegas odds, more towards the favorites, more towards the higher scores, whereas in GPPs, you need to take into account ownership. If 100 people have the same lineup and you win first place, you're not winning the $100,000 the first night. You're splitting it 100 ways. That might not sound bad, but say it's 1,000 people split first place, whatever it is, your expected value is not being capitalized on, even though you had such a small percentage chance of winning to win a massive payout. you're not going to end up winning that massive payout. It's actually a terrible win for you, even though you just won 10 grand. And in real life, it's a good win. But now take that from, instead of winning 100K, say you split for like 20th place. Now, instead of winning 100, 200 bucks, now you're winning like $30 and you just paid 15 to get into the contest and you had a really good lineup. So you want to get a little bit different. You want to differentiate yourself. The more you differentiate yourself, the better that when things happen that people aren't expecting, but you take on that risk, you jump a ton more people. You want to do that in GPPs, not so much cash games. Fade Eubanks and Cash. Eubanks would honestly be somebody that I would want to fade in GPPs. Cash is where I would want to play Eubanks because you don't have to get different. If Eubanks goes out there as the biggest favorite on the slate by a mile, probably isn't going to end up winning. You just get the safe 85 to 90 points in cash with a decent amount of upside depending on if this thing finishes quick and there's been a little bit of change in Eubanks' game. Smash that like button, says Joshua. Yes, smash the like button. Hit that notification bell if you have a few seconds of your time. Bottom right-hand corner, there's a notification bell. There's a subscribe button right on the screen. So take those seconds, do that. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can. Projections are going to be there. They're going to be updated for the weekend stuff as well. If you enjoyed this, if you're watching on the replay, be sure to check out some of the affiliate offers down below. You're going to get free money if you do that, up to $55 for free if you want to play over on Monkey Knife Fight. So I appreciate it, everybody. Just looking through the chat right now to see if there's any final questions. No final questions. You can get them in right now. I'll give you 30 seconds to a minute. But that's it for right now. Appreciate it. Thank you. Hopefully you all win 100K. Somebody does. Somebody the other night on KOB. We also have KOB, Korean Baseball, on Patreon. Somebody I said to win 100K in the last stream or 50K. And the guy sends me a screenshot in my Discord. I'll keep him anonymous. But 150K. Absolutely insane. Frank says, you're the man. Frank, it seems like you may be Italian with that last name. I don't want to say it wrong. Polisley. But I appreciate it, man. All right. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the fights tonight. Some real sports, some combat sports, scary stuff to watch this stuff. But Joe Rogan, I think, is on the announcing. So appreciate it, everybody. Peace out, gang. And I will see you all in the next one.